Good. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So now it's going to be a nice short presentation about a project that started in Lebanon almost 2 years and a half ago. So it's mostly about coastal ecosystem resilience, and then we're going to showcase the use of technology in marine environmental data collection and oceanographic data collection through the use of technology and autonomous device. So I think you all know a bit about Beirut, and then when you hear Beirut, you can see all the news and the media, but still we're trying to work and make a bit of change. So the project is about to improve vulnerability of coastal cities, improve and increase marine protected area, and also trigger their effectiveness. And we're also trying to apply a mix of tools that have been proven successful in different parts in the Mediterranean. So we're not inventing anything new, but since the project started, this is what we've been going through. I won't go through all of these, but we've had public protests that brought the country a bit inactive, and then we had the global pandemic that hits everybody, then we had the port explosion last year that also rendered all our work a bit more and more complicated. But the most important thing are these two down here. So the Lebanese lira devaluated up to almost 20 folds of its value. So now if you check, you can see that the official rate is something, but the current black market is something. And this actually demotivates most of the people to work because they are still paid at the official rate, which brings their purchasing power very low. And also, this has increased the rate of poverty in the country up to 80%, even more than 80%. So you can imagine when poverty hits that hard in barely 2 years, and you're coming to talk about marine conservation, protected area, sustainable fisheries, this becomes a bit of a burden on everyone, even people that work in this, people that work in the system and in the administration. So what are we trying to do? Okay, so we're working on how to control and reduce overfishing, how to reduce pollution, how to make things better on the environmental side, whether from habitat destruction, reduction of this, how to face and mitigate the increase of CO2 and the temperature increase and the sea level rise. So in this project, actually, it's such a small project, but we're working across the union with everyone. So we have 2 internal agreements, one with IUCN Med, one with IUCN Environmental Law Center. So the Environmental Law Center are helping us actually to reshape most of the MEAs, multilateral environmental agreements that Lebanon have signed, and how to render these agreements more effective and not just an opportunity that, okay, we signed them, but how to apply them and how to make them effective there. So the legal team at ELC is helping us with this, whereas the technical team also at IUCN Med is helping us look into opportunities, twinning programs with nearby protected areas. We're currently working on an agreement with 2 protected areas in Turkey to help the local protected areas in Lebanon and upscale their management and help the management team. We're also working with different commissions. So different experts across different commissions, they're being like the backbone of our scientific work, giving us a lot of technical documents and products. We have 2 publications coming in. One was supposed to be published and launched here, but we had to postpone it a bit. So what we are doing, we have identified already the vulnerability of most of the coastal cities. Okay, we did mapping, we did assessment from the local government level to different institutes, mapping out everything. So I won't go through all this, but these are part of the maps that we have developed, and now we're developing a full coastal climate adaptation document. What we did, looking into overfishing, illegal fishing, and destructive fishing, we had an official MOU with the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, to actually support them and provide technical support for the ministry and for that department by providing them with all the technological means and how to do a full census of illegal gear. So now all the illegal gears have been mapped out and tagged. We provided them with tablets and products so they can assess. So we're not writing anymore on papers and then the paper is lost. And now we're moving into monitoring the fisheries. And also before monitoring the fisheries, based on the request of the ministry, we're developing also a full sustainable fishing plan based on the reproductive cycle of the fish. So we've been assessing all these fish actually in the lab and checking the gonads to establish a reproduction cycle. And based on that, we will produce fishing calendar that would open or close seasons of most of the native, most of the commercial native species. In the fishery management as well, as I said, we started first with simple tagging of all the gear, of all the illegal gear. So now we have identified them and we gave color codes and barcodes to all of them. The next step, we're deploying gear tags that would go and gear tell us where the gear is, and this would also help us to recover, find and retrieve ghost nets or abandoned fishing gear at sea, and at the same time to understand if the fishermen are fishing in restricted areas or VMEs, vulnerable marine ecosystem, or inside or around marine protected area. And this will also help reduce the cost of patrolling because we will get directly all the data, and we're providing VMS to most of the fleet that is above 10 and 15 meters. So also Lebanon will become compliant to all the GFCM, which is the Regional Fisheries Management Organization. And then by becoming compliant, now they can report officially and they can have data on their fleet, and we understand the mobility and the traffic of this fleet. So we also, through this project, we have provided bathymetric maps and identified all the vulnerable marine ecosystem. So part of the data came from a previous project that we did with partners from Sparak and Oceana on deep sea Lebanon to identify the different canyons. And from this data, we have worked also with CNRS to map and prepare bathymetric maps to highlight everything at sea. They will be online at the Ministry of Environment soon. Another thing that we've done also was an unplanned activity. When we had the oil spill, the last week of February, there was still unidentified oil spill in the East Mediterranean. And so we had to do a rapid intervention where we provided most of the coastal communities and coastal municipalities with tools, products, and we have developed a hydraulic sieve to clean most of the beaches, and especially one of the biggest marine protected area in South Lebanon, and an area that is also considered as a KBA, to remove most of the tar. And now you can see a quick video about that.
IUCN is currently supporting the local marine protected area and Tir to remove the tar particles that washed up on the shoreline due to the oil spill that occurred around 2 months ago. We have provided tools and equipment to help with the cleanup efforts, and currently we are supporting and bringing in some workers to help with the cleanup, as you can see. A lot of volunteers have actually helped a lot. However, volunteers cannot always provide their time. We figured that by bringing in workers who are committed, it would be more sustainable on the long run. We're also getting a machine, a beach cleaner, that's going to also help even cover more area.
That's a hydraulic filtering machine that was fully developed locally in Tir. The idea and the design was actually proposed by the mayor of Tir. This machine depends on this truck. The movement of the transmission creates a vibration, so by this we have reduced the price of putting an engine. People working with shovels would remove the sand that is contaminated, throws it here, and then it slides. So the clean sand goes directly under here, 80 to 90% free from tar particle and free from most of the plastic. All these are tar particles. That's a bigger tar lump.
As we go with the work, the amount of tar that is going to be found will be significantly less.
The impact is split into two. You have the natural and the socioeconomic. The natural impact, which is direct on the fauna and flora. Make sure that we don't do a cross-contamination, because if we step somewhere where we have the tar and then move somewhere else, put directly your contaminated shoes in a bag. And the socioeconomic can sometimes go as long as the natural one. One, there's a lot of fear from people on consuming or eating fish. Usually fish, they tend to run away and move. Fishermen's catch drop down, so they have less fish to sell. So this would also affect the livelihood of fishermen, of beachgoers, of all the small actors that depend on the summer season to put bread on the table. We're partnering up with the National Council for Scientific Research to do studies on fish.
We took them from places they were heavily contaminated. We take different species of fish, we dissect them, we take the muscle, we freeze dry them in order to send them to laboratories. We run analysis on the petroleum content like PAH or the heavy metals. In the fish stomach we observe no residues of oil. Now we have to check if the muscle absorbed or not, but we are sure from experience the fish are clean. At the same time we took samples from mollusks. They're not mobile creatures, so they have more chance to accumulate contaminants than fish. Because of this, it's necessary to analyze also the mollusks.
When the first incident happened, we realized that most of the coastal communities, they were not ready. They had zero preparedness plan for such an incident. The most important part is to use this as a learning experience in order to be ready and prepared for any other oil spill. If this experience is not taken seriously by the coastal communities, by the local authorities, and by the government, that's the problem. Okay. Going back to the So part of this is actually to highlight the autonomous marine environmental monitoring. So in Lebanon already, the National Council for Scientific Research, they have a research vessel, RV Kana, that is equipped with different sensors and tools. They have CTD, they have Rosette, they have Rove, and so on. But this requires a daily manned activity. So one of the things that we've started to work on and develop almost 2 years ago, a bit more, was to acquire a fully autonomous smart buoy that would be deployed at 50 meters deep and at the surface, and would collect different meteorological and oceanographic data that would be transmitted on an interval of 1 and 10 minutes per day, every day. The data is collected and then analyzed. This actually opens up a lot of opportunity for cooperation between scientists, a lot of cooperation between national institutes in Lebanon and other partners across the Mediterranean, put Lebanon on the map of smart buoys and oceanographic data analysis, and plus create also opportunities, additional opportunities for education, research, and PhD or doctoral studies for Lebanese students that are majoring in marine sciences or in marine biodiversity, because now they have daily data. And this would also help to bridge the data deficiency or data gap, because if you go back to most of the previous reports, you would always stop, oh, data not available, data not available. So this tool would also help in creating knowledge and bringing this data. So that's actually a bit the unit. Now you can see less talking, more active. So that's let's say a side cut of the unit. What is there? What are the units that are involved? That's the unit actually itself, finally deployed at sea. And plus, we added a current and wave Doppler. So a current and wave Doppler meter that is at 52 meters exactly, that measures the intensity, velocity, and the movement of current, waves, and so on. That would also help to understand all the movement, the current movement, and could be also used as an early detection for, let's say, tsunamis and anything else that could happen. I know it's not the case so far in East Med, but that's good. This is a sample of the data collected. So far, we have this online. We didn't post it. It's not open yet. We're still modifying. We're still analyzing. The unit has been put at sea less than a month ago. So we did the deployment on August 14. Well, we had the first attempt on Friday the 13th. And then when we were discussing with the team, they were like, yeah, come on, it's only in the movies. But we had series of unfortunate events while working at sea on Friday the 13th, so it's good. So this is actually the data. So we have the multi-probe, like the CTD. We have a full weather station. We have the fluor, like the sea fluor at sea. We have a mini CO2 sensor that brings out all the data, and we have the ADCP. This is a simple analysis that we have started to do, and actually, we haven't published this online yet because we are still calibrating all the instruments and units, so we need to have 1 month to understand all their functions, to have everything ready, and also we need to have it secure from any hacking attack or so on when the data goes online. And now, Dr. Milad Fakhri from the National Council for Scientific Research. He's the director of the National Marine Science Center, will join us virtually, and he will also have a presentation. Dr. Milad is here. I don't know if he can hear us. Let me put my mic.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Ziad. It's a very nice presentation. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and your presentation is live on the screen.
Just I will be brief. I will before here the connection will cut. So I will try to just summarize the activities of the National Center for Marine Sciences, which is one of the National Council of Scientific Research Centers. The national the CNRS, Lebanese CNRS. Has 4 main centers: the National Center for Geophysical Center, the National Center for Remote Sensing, the Lebanese Atomic Energy, and the National Center for Marine Sciences, which was established in 1977. Next. Okay, it is a recognized institute. Our center is a recognized institute within the Mediterranean networks. And the center is integrated in several regional and international activities. The main mandates of the center are the permanent monitoring of the coastal marine zone and the water column by creating a national network of observation, the evaluation of specific biodiversity and their habitats, and the determination of different sources and destinations of continental discharges, mainly the pollutants. Next. Next, please. Okay, the center is located in, this is a location of the center in Batroun, in the north of Lebanon and in Junia. We have a scientific, our research vessel named Kana. It's 27 meters long and 7 meters width, and it is well equipped. It is a donation from the Italian government, and it is well equipped with multi-beam echo sounders, with rosette, with CTDs, with different kinds of nets for biological biodiversity research and studies. And it's our main tool to be able to gather or sample the sea offshore but okay, it's the use of this boat is limited in time. This is just to show you that why the importance why was the importance to acquire this unmanned oceanographic buoy. This is a small also catamaran. We are using it also for coastal surveys. Next. Here are the different equipments with rosette, with CTDs, with different type of CTDs to study the water column. But this is just limited in time. So we go in a mission, we take samples for 1 day. We measure the different parameters in this specific day, maybe once a month. Now with the buoy, we'll have a continuous high frequency series of data that allows us to monitor the trend of any change in seawater parameters. Please, next. We are working on climate change, seawater acidification, and with the buoy now, we will have continuous measurements for the CO2, air CO2, oxygen, and dissolved oxygen and PCO2, and even for chlorophyll and other parameters. Next. Also, one of the activities that the center is implementing is studying the presence of macroliter and microplastics in water, in sediments, and now we start to study it in biota, mainly in the stomachal content of dolphins or stranded dolphins, and in fish. Next. Here also in sediments. We are also studying the metrics. Next. Here are also we are studying putting sediment traps using grabs, using sediment cores, just taking sediments to study what is happening in an area, because the sediment is an integrated medium, able to show us what for how long this area was subjected to any kind of contamination. Next, please. And as our mandate, the National Center for Marine Sciences is implementing a program, monitoring a program for the whole Lebanese coast. We have about 37 points along the Lebanese coast where we are visiting monthly. Each point, they are mainly bathing sites or close to any contaminated sites like river mouth or Haida. We are studying the status of these beaches to show people where to swim or not to swim. Every year in July, we are printing or publishing a map showing with different colors, showing the level of contamination, mainly bacteriological contamination of these beaches. Next. Also, we are studying currents using the Lagrangian methods by dropping drifters in the sea. But now with the buoy, with the smart buoy, now we can measure in Eulerian, means at a fixed point, the currents through the water column, the coastal currents, because it's close to the coast, from 0 till 50 meters depth. And this is will give us new information about how the currents, even maybe one buoy is not enough now, but we start with one buoy, like they had said. The target is to get more and more than 2 or 3 buoys distributed along the Lebanese coast with time. Next. Also, we are studying marine biodiversity from plankton till megafauna, till sharks and cetaceans. Next. And this is our dream since years, maybe more than 20 years since I was I started working in the National Center for Marine Science, I was dreaming of putting fixed stations in the sea to be able to monitor with high frequency series of data the different changes in our coastal marine water. And now, with the effort of IUCN through their project financed by the Norwegian embassy, we could, our dream came true, and now we are able to monitor a big range of data from air data, seawater data, chemical, physical, and biochemical data, and also currents and sea level height. Okay, with high frequency series of data we are getting, and we are now able to join other networks in the Mediterranean, networks of Buoys, so to cooperate and to understand better the changes in our marine environment and what is the impact also of climate change. And also this buoy will serve also in our program of risk management, like for monitoring the climate change and any alert of tsunami with the level rise of sea level. And I would like at the end to thank IUCN and the effort of Ziad for bringing this buoy after 3 years of hard work, hard negotiations, till this buoy arrived and was deployed in the Lebanese water. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Milad. We'll run a short video, and then if you can stay with us for Q&A. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Milad, you're still with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, now we're open for questions and then questions, comments, if anybody has or wants to know anything or, okay.
Hello, thank you very much to both of you for the presentation. So I actually have a general question coming from the Eastern Mediterranean. Looking into the smart buoy, I was wondering to have more data accumulation in the Eastern Mediterranean region, what is the proximity to place another buoy, let's say like in maybe 50 miles or 100 miles? So I was thinking if we were to place a buoy somewhere along the southern coastline of Turkey, maybe in Cyprus, do you think we might have more data and maybe cross-check the data and have more databases for the eastern part of Mediterranean? Because we always, hear this, oh, there's lack of data from the Eastern Mediterranean. Well, now you are a very good representative regarding this, and so do you know to have more stronger data, to have more data, what would be your proposal? So maybe we can even get in contact with certain ministries in these countries and be able to place even more buoys around the region. So that was my general question. Thank you.
Dr. Fakhri, you want to answer first?
From my side, yes. If in Lebanon we are thinking to get two more, one in the south and one in the north, like we are always thinking that it's very good to monitor all the coasts at the same time, because I think there is some difference between the physicochemical parameters from north, middle, and south of Lebanon. So if more buoys are added in the Eastern Mediterranean, like in Cyprus or in Turkey or in this part, we will get our own network of the Eastern or Levantine Basin or Eastern Mediterranean Basin. So we can get our own network, and we can be able better to monitor and to know what is the trend of change in the different type of seawater parameters, and we can join all together as lobby the international and Mediterranean networks of buoys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just add up one thing. So for us, this is my only take-home message for everyone, is that if this was possible with all the obstructing conditions that we had in Lebanon and all the problems that we faced, if this was okay to mount one, then this is a very good demonstration project and a very good piloting product that we really need to scale up in other countries in the Mediterranean, especially in the East Mediterranean, where the conditions in the countries are much better. There's more access to fund, there's more access to deploying at sea. And another thing that we're also hoping in the near future is to deploy additional buoys with sensors for cetaceans. And these buoys, they don't have to be near shore. They can be in deeper areas. They can be in one of the main canyons in Lebanon along the coast. And then they could be only equipped with hydroacoustics, hydrophones, and so on. So this will also give us additional information on whales, dolphins, and any other cetaceans in this area. And definitely linking with Cyprus, with Turkey, possibly later on with Syria, and other countries in that area, that would be really good, because this would give us a better understanding of the whole region. And this could also, if we keep on monitoring the currents, this would also help us in linkages with marine plastic and marine litter understanding, so we would know where they are going, how they are really circulating, and how we can stop this, and how we can move forward. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Milad. I'm Yassine from SPARAC. Thank you for the good presentation. I have one question for Ziad regarding the surveillance of fishing activity and illegal fishing activity. So what kind of techniques or method you are using to reduce or to mitigate the fishing activity the illegal one and the loss of gears?
Okay. Thank you, Yassine. So that's a very interesting and challenging question at the same time. So one, we have finally managed with the authorities to count or to sense all the illegal gear. So now the first step is that we know that they exist, because back in the days we were fighting something elusive. Yes, there is illegal gear. Now we know the illegal gear, we know their numbers. So the first step, it's not going to be nationwide, it's going to be a replacement at 2 pilot sites to understand, because step one, you need to take the gear. By taking the gear will have a new life. Some of it will go into upcycling, turn them into artifacts, into artistic things, into dress, into something useful with supporting local communities, supporting local artists to do this. The other gear that cannot have a new life will go either into recycling or shredding, and some of the gear that can also go into agricultural purposes as protection for trees and plantation from rain, hail, bats, birds, and so on, or can be used also as chicken wire for chicken growing farms. So that's on one side. How we are going to control it? So there will be a replacement. And then with the replacement, there will come 2 phases. So there's one part, there's a project happening between FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's a technical cooperation. Also on our side, we're providing gear tags to understand where the gear are being placed, how do they go, how long do they stay in the water, and VMS for the units. Going another step into illegal gear, as you know, you've been in Lebanon, you participated, you funded, and you did all the marine surveys part of the MedMPA net. We had blast fishing. And you know that in the southern part of Lebanon, we managed to reduce in Tir, or actually up to 80%, the blast fishing, but it still happens in some other areas. So the idea is work with the national authorities, work with the law enforcement agencies, and at the same time, this is also what we're doing on a parallel side with our colleagues from ELC, is to work on mechanisms to stop the import of all the gear that are smaller than the minimum size. Now what we have on the market is these gear, they have a different custom code, because you know each item that is imported has a custom code. So the traders or the importers, they outsmarted the system, so they changed the code. They come into the country as either sports nets or nets that are used for agricultural purposes. So the idea is not only to change at the fisherman level, but we need to change at the legal level, at the industry level, at the custom level. Because if I take their gear, and this is something that happened almost maybe 20 years ago, less, 12 years ago, I was working on another project with IX in South Lebanon. So they replaced the gear on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the replaced gear was already swapped and changed with other fishermen. Because as long as the illegal gear is still on the market, that's a very big loophole. So what we need is different activities at the same time. What could delay this is the political situation, because sometimes to have a law, it needs to go through the parliament. What we could do now is have a ministerial decision. So the Minister of Agriculture is on our side, the ministry is happy, and they're moving forward to change all these things. I hope this answers the question. Thank you. Any other questions? Should I ask myself a question? Dr. Millet, do you have any question for the audience?
No, thank you.
Do we have any question from audience online? No? I don't know if anyone is watching us online. Okay, should we end? No? That's it? Yeah? They're all tired? Okay, thank you, Dr. Fakhri. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for the presentation. And hopefully Yaprak will get us another buoy. She's so happy. She seems motivated. Okay, thanks a lot. And have a nice evening, everyone. And thank you for attending.